Hello, people. It's your boy Ambassador again, reacting to these various topics. As usual, it's just my opinion. Give your opinion in the comment section. Don't get offended no matter what I say. Or even if you are offended, express your frustration in the comment section. I just want to get your opinion. This is what I think. I want to know what you think. So go into the comment section, like, share, subscribe. Give me your comments with regards to these things. As usual, it's your boy Ambassador just share his comments. Today I'll be talking about. We'll watch this video, and I took the custody of Nigeria. And I in my mind it's just like multinationals, all Africa, no favors.
Hi guys, it's me again. So lately we've been seeing several multinational companies like the iconic Guinness potentially leaving Nigeria or handing over the reins to somebody else. It's tough, I know, but we need to face a very hard truth. Now, before I go any further, I want to make it very clear that these views are entirely my own and they do not cast any aspersions on any of the companies I mentioned as examples in my videos, either directly or indirectly. These views are entirely based on my understanding of the economic landscape in which I operate. Now, back to what I was saying. The truth is, many of these multinational companies have long benefited from our broken system, taken advantage of weak regulations and low wages. They were never here for our benefit, but they were here for their own. They've exploited our systemic vulnerabilities from poor working conditions to environmental damage. Corruption and bribery sometimes makes it easier for them to evade accountability. There's often an investment in local R&D. I've said this multiple times before, leaving us dependent on foreign expertise. So why are they leaving now? With the current administration cracking down on irregularities, some multinationals are considering or reconsidering their presence here. Should they in fact stick with us through the hard times? Yes, I deeply believe so. But they're leaving after years of benefiting from our resources, our labor. The question begs now is, why now? What's driving them out now? Foreign companies are here for high margins, not to solve our problems, guys. When they leave, we need to ask, what now? What have we learned from their presence? And how can we use that knowledge for our own benefit? It's time for Nigeria to wake up and take our own piece of the pie. When Japan, the US, and Germany began training the Chinese, they didn't bet on the student becoming the teacher one day. China ensured that it benefited long term from those investments and those opportunities. Why can't Nigeria do the same? What have we learned from Guinness being here since the 1950s? And how can we harness that knowledge towards self-reliance now that they might believe in? What are your thoughts, guys? I'm super curious to hear from you.
So there's no way we could be complaining about this company is creating war in Africa. That's what they do. They want profit. They're not there for charity. They don't like you. They're not your brother. They came to make profit. So at what point do we have that disconnect in our brains that we are thinking that they're here for our interest? They're not here for your interest. If you cannot fight for your interest or stand up for your interest, then you get taken advantage of. Simple. Case study Nigeria. So I usually just start by always establishing the premise of we're in a capitalist world. We are not in heaven, we are not in church, and even in church now it's even more capitalist than in the market. But to start, we're in a capitalist world where things are about interest. Once you have that at the back of your mind, you are not coming to the table hoping that the other person is worried about your interest. You are worried about your interest. Let him worry about his interest. The people look for a civil and humane way of both having your interests covered, but everybody being happy. That being said, as usual in the capitalist world, they say you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. I'll repeat it, for me it's very important. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. So when these companies or multinationals come to Africa and they meet with our ministers and they give the minister or the representative of the community, whoever that may be, parliamentarian, minister, businessman, whoever that may be, something which is worth 10 million, they give him 1 million and he signs. He has just sold off the rights of 9 million for the population because he wanted 1 million and think as an individual. So if he did not negotiate for 10 million, we should not come back. It's dishonest on our part to come back and start striking and say we want 10 million because we deserve 10 million. No, we did not negotiate 10 million. We negotiated 1 million, even though we deserve 10. So we should just have that at the back of our minds. This, I'm just using an analogy, but it represents most of the issues we're having in Africa. We don't negotiate good deals. We don't even do the research to permit us to negotiate good deals. And then we start striking later on and complaining, hoping that the world should have pity on us because we are the poor, suffering Africans who have no mother and father to help us. No, nobody's going to help us. And we'll keep suffering until we learn to study right, think right, and negotiate right. That being said, I mentioned the issue of Nigeria and I mentioned their policies. I like to take Nigeria because at times even I might get so disconnected even on my own country, Cameroon, where I'll be looking at politics in Nigeria and America more than even Cameroon. At times, when something is too close to heart and it becomes too frustrating, you decide to just let it be. So I see the way African leaders negotiate things, and it's clear that the policies are not in the interest of the people. I'll talk more about the issue of Dangote, which are like, how does this even add up? It's very clear that this thing is not beneficial to the people, but whoever is corrupting the leaders is in their own interest, and the leader finds nothing wrong in that to sign up things which will make the population suffer. I also said, let's pay attention to policies, some of those bilateral relationships. Let's ask ourselves the question, whatever policy is signed, first we need to know what policies are signed. If I start asking most young Cameroonians, I don't expect a child in primary school to know. By the time you start getting to high school, university, you should worry about some of these things. What is the bilateral relationship between Cameroon and Nigeria? Do we know? We don't. Even Google those things, something will pop up. At least have an idea. You might not have the detailed paperwork on what was signed, but you have an idea of what it looks like. Or what are the terms? What are the bilateral relationships between Cameroon and France, Cameroon and America, Cameroon and Britain, Cameroon and China? Do we know? We don't know. But those things are affecting our everyday life and survival. But we're just hoping that somebody will know about it and then try to fight for us. Why? So the population needs, so soon I'll get to the stage where I'll start digging out some of those things and bringing it here. Before now, I just want to first get people to start thinking in a certain direction. But we should worry about some of those two documents. The next question, once you know what document is existing, the next question is, this document, is it for my interest or against my interest? Then you start knowing, who do I vote for? But when we have basic, primate-minded people who vote based on tribal lines, I get very offended. I'm sure I'm going to do another video. I'll talk about the case of Nigeria where they are striking, and I'm like, Nigeria, you guys deserve what is happening to you. When you guys will have a Peter Obi who is not an angel and a Tinubu in front of us, and we still manage to vote a Tinubu and we are complaining, what is wrong with us? So those are some of the things. Same thing in Cameroon, I talk about it every day. In Cameroon, we have 28 million people. It's like 1 million to 2 million people who vote. Out of that 2 million, I'm sure it's even like the national party has like, let me not call it national party, the majority, the party of the majority has like 40 to 50%. When 1 million or 2 million out of 28 million votes, what does that tell us? You people don't care. But that's what's going to have an impact on your life, and you're just hoping that some other people will go and vote. Me included, I've never voted. Don't think that when I'm talking about it because I'm better off. But that's just, I'm talking to myself and I'm talking with you and sharing those things. I think that many of us like me there. Because if it's just 2 million people voting, 26 million are like me. What are we hoping that's going to change things? And at times, just doing these videos is just my own way to control myself and also doing something to try to get things to change. But it's not enough. Also, I always say this, which it sounds like a very pessimistic note, but I say this all the time. In this life, 1 plus 1 is 2. We are going to continue to suffer in Africa till we deserve to suffer no more. But as long as we deserve it, it will come to us. We can blame everybody, insult everybody, curse everybody. But as long as we don't put in the work to make sure that things change, we will continue to suffer. Then we are going to strike. When we finish striking, they give us some food, we eat. We stop to strike, we start dancing. Then we go back to suffering. Then we strike. Then we'll just stay in that circle. And then, lastly, as I said, as a solution, once we know what's happening and it's clear that it's not our interest, there is a model we can follow. It happened in our lifetime. It's not history. Something that happened in front of us. We can follow the Asian model. either the Asian, they call them the Asian tigers, or the Chinese model. We have seen these guys develop in front of us, right in front of our eyes. We can follow their model. We can take time to study it. I'm actually studying some of those things on how did they get from A to Z. We can take time to follow those things in terms of strategy, how their population was working, what sacrifices they had to make. All of those details we need to study like a book and then refer to it and then adapt it to our own context. But we will make some effort in that direction. Sorry guys, I'm with you guys in the suffering, but I'm saying it. We will keep suffering, we will keep striking, people will keep shooting each other, people will keep suffering. But we will decide to really, really think. As usual, it's your boy Ambassador. I'm out.
Just my opinion.